Instagram just slightly. Okay. I'm going to take my mask off so that the deaf community can read my lips because I can't sign fast enough. Sorry. Okay. What a week. What a week. If you missed our DC show, sorry, Instagram. We did not have Instagram up for DC reviews yesterday. But we got our shipments sort of staggered. So we had DC yesterday and High A's and Marvel and other indies today. Forgive me, my brain has died. So pop culture news, the Midnight Suns trailer dropped. It's amazing. Even Nico is on the team. There is, and I'd be shocked like if they didn't bring Moon Knight at least in his DLC for the Midnight Suns. That would be weird. But we'll wait and see. Other pop culture news. You got some bombshells, didn't you, Cam? Just recently.
Oh, Venom was said to be getting pushed back till 2022, but it no longer is not.
Venom is no longer delayed, so if you heard that Venom was being delayed, well, good news. It's still coming out in October. There is a leak centering around Scarlet Witch fighting whom? Somebody from the Foxverse in the Doctor Strange movie. We don't know if the leak is true, but if that's the case, then yeah, they're bringing mutants across. Please, if you bring mutants across, let's just jump to the Krakoa storyline, because why not? Anyways, what else? Other pop culture news? Yeah, I'm kind of stumped. We went over a lot of it yesterday, and my brain stopped working. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. I think we've got it all.
We were just talking about a whole bunch of stuff too, weren't
we? We were, but my brain dies. At any rate, let's get to the reviews. It was an excellent week for Marvel. Now, I thought it was a good week for DC, but after reading all the Marvel books, which, by the way, there is a novel's worth of Marvel books. It's a giant amount of books that came out this week, and indies, and number ones. We have a ton of number ones. So if you are a comic fan, this is the week for you. If you are a Marvel fan, this is the week for you. I thought DC was pretty good, but Marvel knocked it out of the park in every sense of the word. And we're going to start with something that was absolutely amazing, a bit mind-blowing and great. And it centers around, it's Kelly Thompson, the writer, and let's see, Elizabeth Diamarco. This is Black Widow. Now, the art for Black Widow is so mind-blowing. I love everything about the art for Black Widow. However, the story is as good, if not better. It's really mind-blowing how far she's come since issue 1. It's only been 10 issues, but I feel like I've read, 2 or 3 trades. Right, Cam?
Yeah.
It's wild. Like, what a crazy ride. Currently, Yelena's involved, so the White Widow's involved, and then they're also dealing with some, new superpowered friends. Well, I can't really say new supercharged friends. And, some old fan favorites. Jessica Drew, I believe, is in it. It's a great story, and it's a good wrap-up for an arc. I had a great time. I'm happy with how it ended. I love the art. But, again, you get these wicked 2-page spreads. And this one in particular, remember the last time where I was like, that Hawkeye page with the 2-page spread was, like, pretty amazing? There is one that centers around, like, Black Widow having a fight that it must have, like, 100 panels on the page of just complete action. And it's...
Remember that it was the end of that first one?
Yeah. This one, it's man, what a wild shot. Like, that is a page that I honestly could see hanging in a museum sometime. It's outstanding. So if you're a Black Widow fan, you will love this. If you're anyone else, definitely don't skip this. And I honestly think, without even knowing, like, the full story for this arc, you could pick this up and be fine with it. Granted, it is the end of an arc. Next is McKay, Foreman, and Campbell, Infinite Destinies, Earth's Mightiest Hero, Avengers. Now, I'm going to say that I really love the Fury story at the end of this, and it involves Fury getting the best of Nighthawk in the last couple of these Infinite Destinies. And all of these have sort of centered around different Infinity Stones, and really, all the Infinity Stones currently are sentient, and they're all binding to different people, and I'm so happy to say that finally, my favorite stone, because the stone normally goes with Adam Warlock, but it has finally reappeared, and it's not tied to Adam Warlock. They're all tied to people, and I'm saying that in the broadest sense because I don't want to be spoiling what's going on in this. They're all tied to people, But the Soul Stone picked a very interesting person to be tied to. And I like the exchange that happened with the Avengers in it. And that's all I'm going to say on it. It was just a really, really great read. The art it's pretty good. I have nothing to complain about the art, but I will say it's not my favorite art. But I don't hate it. McKay is definitely weaving a good story, and oh man, I'm just so happy that the Soul Stone is reappeared finally. So yeah, come get this. It's outstanding. And you know, if you like the Time Stone stuff, well, currently, just so you know, to fill you in, uh, all the sentient stones are definitely binding to people, but their end goal is to come together, and they don't really know what that will entail in people form when they come together. But if I were to guess, they're going to become the Power Rangers. But I have no idea. It's great though. Next is Joe Kelly, Chris Bacalo, Tim Townsend, and Marquio Menez. And this is Nonstop Spider-Man. Now, I can't say that this is the best Spider-Man book on our shelf. I think that currently belongs to Miles Morales, but a close second for good reason. Nonstop Spider-Man is literally nonstop. There is endless action, and the way it goes is just about explosive. I've honestly the writer just writes action, it just flows off the page, and honestly, I could see it like just becoming a movie. This one in particular takes place with Baron Zemo. Now, Baron Zemo, I love Baron Zemo as like his banter and his back and forth, but you also have to remember that he's a very sadistic and wrong villain in all the worst ways. And you know, Spider-Man calls it because, well, you know, he's racist and anti-Semitic, and that's not changed. But it's a really interesting villain to bring into Nonstop Spider-Man, which up until now has felt very, even though it's filled with action, it feels like very cartoonish, does it not, Ken?
Yeah.
It really does. So it's a weird choice, but it works for whatever reason. Oddly enough, Parker and Zemo have some kind of chemistry. I mean, it's not bad chemistry for exchange. The dialogue is great, the story is great, the action is great. Do not skip it. In my opinion, second best Spider-Man book on our shelves. Miles is still the best right now. Definitely not Spencer's run. I'm sorry. Ryan, Katie, Jen, Bazaldua, and Federico Blee. And we're talking about Winter Guard, issue number 1. Now, I nobody asked for a Winter Guard comic, did we? Did anyone ask for that? Maybe after Black Widow. Maybe there were a couple fans that were like, I want a Winter Guard. I don't know. I didn't expect it. And granted, I don't hate the Winter Guard characters. I just don't love them per se. But the main part of this comic is really Red Guardian and Yelena trying to get the best of the Winter Guard to sort of wake them up that what they're doing or what is going on is wrong. And currently, if you don't know, in the Marvel Universe, they've kidnapped She-Hulk and brainwashed her and turned her red. So that's a real problem. But it's just really, it's Red Guardian and Yelena getting the best of Winter Guard in this issue. And for whatever reason, it really works. I had a great time with it. The story was fun. The dialogue was outstanding. Just outstanding. The art was great. Again, like I'm saying, I don't mean to upsell it so much, but Marvel books this week are just ridiculously good across the board. This is amazing. Honestly, a great piece of work and a good number 1. That's how you really want to open a comic. Next is Philip Kennedy Johnson, Salvador Larroca, Guru Effects, Alien, issue number 6. Now, this is the wrap-up. We saw a lot of betrayals, did we not? We saw Bishop. What Bishop's the synthetic? Who is the other person, Yogi? I need to get my in Alien. Who are the other people in Alien? I know the evil lady, but Bishop.
Bishop is the android.
Android, and what's the other guy?
You know the name.
I can't remember his name, but he has a son, and the son is currently a host for an alien that the corporation wants.
Yep.
And
his
yep, and that's all you need to know. But the ending of this, we know that there's that very wicked-looking alien queen that has latched onto the ship, and we know that's going to be a problem. All I'm going to tell you is how this wraps up. You read it, right, Yogi?
I didn't finish it.
You didn't finish it. The ending was absurdly good. Like, I thought that's exactly what I want out of an Aliens ending. And I'm happy to say that they end this saying this is the end of chapter 1. So we are going to be getting a lot more of this, and for good reason. It's outstanding. So if you've been reading this Alien stuff, and I'm saying that as somebody who's not the biggest Aliens fan, I'm hooked. I'm honestly hooked. It's great. Now for a book that God I'm trying so hard to like. Amelia Clark, Marguerite Bennett, and Layla Lays. And this is Mom, Mother of Madness. Now, the art is really cool. Like, I have nothing to complain about the art. Cam, did you read the first book? You did not read it. All I gotta say is the first book was strange. It just didn't feel like a good opener, we've kind of figured out that her magic is tied to her monthly cycle, which is also kind of strange. But okay, let's run with it. I'm willing to like let a story be told that seems a little different, and I'm not opposed to that. The art is good, but the story was kind of all over the place, and I'm sad to say that this one is still a bit all over the place. It's not a bad story by any means, and I feel like this one roped it in a lot better than the first one did. It's just they're trying to show that she is a superhero, is balancing being a mom, is balancing having these superpowers that are super emotional, is trying to decide like how to grow and what to do while also just juggling a busy life and working for terrible people type stuff. And I get it, like you're trying to describe chaos while also describing that, whoa, there's some madness here, some literal madness tied to these emotions and everything else. But it's just so much chaos across the page that it's hard to follow at times. Like it's too many moving parts. So not bad, but I mean it was okay. It was okay. Let's give Amelia Clark another issue before we really decide how we feel about it. The first book was not the strongest. The second book was this is okay. I want better though from a new brand. But let's give it one more issue. The art is on point. The art is amazing. Next is J.H. Williams III, W. Hayden Blackman. That's his name. Wow. Okay. Dave Stewart and Todd Klein. That is a standout name. And this is after harnessing the cosmic energy, space-time can be folded and punctured, and all manner of that's a book of ancient secrets. Okay. And this is Techno Lands. Anyways, if you're looking at this and going, that is a strange-looking comic, you're right. That is a strange-looking comic. It reads more like almost like a children's book and how it folds out. It folds out horizontally versus vertically. The story, the art is outstanding, mind-blowingly good. And the main character has a power that is called Red, and she dresses like Little Red Riding Hood. And okay. And as far as I can tell, because they show bridges in the background, this takes place after society has fallen, when tech and magic sort of mix. And that's what you get. And there's just a group of survivors trying to survive, and there is an evil organization hunting them. And yeah, okay, we've kind of seen some of these tropes before, but the story, was it fun? Yes, it was fun. I had a pretty good time with the story. I wasn't bored. I liked the fact that Image was doing something completely different, and the art just danced off the page and into my head. It's just brilliant art. And I think that's what really sold it to me. And I think that had they put that level of art in like a regular sized book, I might have been disappointed. It worked. So as an art snob, I'm going to say that this was explosively good. As a story, it was pretty fun. I mean, I don't know a lot about the villains, which doesn't sell these villains that well to me, but I don't hate it. That's just me being a little bit nitpicky is all. Teaser for Spider-Man No Way Home dropped. Yes, Carl, we talked about that yesterday. But yeah, you're right. The teaser did drop, and it was great. Zub, Smith, Poggi, and Silva. This is Conan the Barbarian. Now, I love Conan novels for a lot of reasons. Like it's Gru the Wanderer, but with the old school source material of Conan, the OG, the Robert E. Howard stuff, and it's all dusted off for a new generation. It's fun. This one in particular centers around Conan. Well, Conan decides to join the life of a bunch of sailors, which never quite works out well. And one of the sailors says, like, hey, man, you're cursed. Like, bad stuff follows you wherever you go. And he's not wrong. Like, Conan is probably the most cursed person in that world, but he just fights it all off. How many blood gods has Conan fought to date?
$1
billion. Literally a billion. That's Conan's got 10 problems and 9 of them are blood gods. I got 99 problems, but a blood god ain't one. Anyways, is it fun? Yes, it's fun. The story's great. The art is great. It's standard Conan flavor. But what I will tell you is this is going to link up to a Belit story. If you don't know, Belit is Conan's love of his life, a pirate queen of, I think, the Black Shores is what it's called. And anytime, like, he's just madly in love with this woman who could swing a sword like nobody's business. And this is building towards a Belit story, so it's fun. I had a really good time with it. I think if you're a Conan fan, you'll love it. Next is King Spawn, issue number 1. We have a lot of these, and I mean a lot, and for good reason. This book is absurdly cool. I had a good time with it. And I'm saying that as somebody who's, in my opinion, the current Spawn stuff has sort of fallen out of favor. Like, I haven't had the best time with it. And have you picked up a Spawn comic recently? Like, they've been really wordy and preachy. And I know that's kind of a 90s standard to put just a mountain of dialogue in the panels, but it doesn't look well for comics these days. This is great. It's not wordy. The writer is showing, not telling. The art is outstanding, and I mean really good. And they're setting the stage for not 1, not 2, not 3, but I think 4 of the new Spawns, to include the new Spawn mythos. And we don't really understand if King Spawn is actually going to be Spawn himself, or if it's going to involve one of the other Spawns. I mean, it would make sense. It says King Spawn, and he's on the cover, but, like, when does everything ever play out like it makes sense in a McFarlane book? The dialogue is outstanding. I mean, just great dialogue all around. I do not know all the Spawn characters, I confess, but I became pretty invested in a couple of these after reading their stories. The art is, well, it's standard Spawn flavor. You know, if you like that sort of art that crawled out of the 90s and sort of changed the industry, then you will love this. So it's not my pick of the week. It's the close second, but it's a really, really good read. And we have tons of covers, and I just mean tons. So please come pick them up. And you're getting essentially a trade paperback worth of comic. It's gigantic. I don't know if I can show that, how thick that is, but that is a giant, thick comic. And it's only $5.99. And you really are getting, I think, four, maybe 5 stories in one comic. All good. They'll all hook you. I promise you they will. I think the most interesting was the last story that centers around a kid, possibly tied to a hero of vengeance, it seems like. But, oh, man, it's cool. And there's a gunslinger story, and I know that Gunslinger Spawn is everyone's, like, new fan favorite. Next is a book that was also almost my indie pick of the week, just about there. And it kind of took me by surprise. It took me by supplies, guys. Supplies. I can't talk. Let me get a drink because clearly my voice has failed me. Okay, the next book, Source Point Press. Source Point Press, man. Knocking one out of the park. Grant, Diaz, Triono, and HDE. I don't know how to pronounce your artist name, so I'm just going to say HDE and hope that's it. Suicide Jockeys. Now, if you looked at this cover and you thought, hey, I seem to remember a movie in the late 80s, early 90s called, what was that called? Robot Jocks? Robot Jocks. And it was just a bunch of, like, people that basically got, like, it was like they were fighting for nation states, but it was like one giant robot versus another giant robot. Yep. This is similar, but it's more like these guys are fighting, like, I think they said, like, billionaires who get a lot of money and build giant stuff, and then so they wind up, like, taking them on at one point. And one of them vanishes in a tragedy, and somehow it messes up the timeline. And get this, their timeline has, like, crazy social media and a plague that's gotten out of hand and a failed coup and also giant monsters. So I'm guessing that's next on our list of apocalypse stuff that we're checking off. Apocalypse bingo. Aliens are next? I wouldn't be surprised. But, okay, is it good? Yes, it's outstanding. It was a great read. It hooked me. There was a mystery. I liked that they sort of synced it up with sort of our timeline, but a little bit different. I liked the robot, like the giant robot aspect of it all. It was fun. The art was amazing. And granted, the art, at first I was concerned. It felt a little bit like Zenoscope to me, which never quite syncs to me. But I gave it a chance, and it was great. Like, by the end of it, I think the way the artist draws giant robots and like robot vehicles, like, just looks really cool. So yeah, Suicide Jockeys, not my indie pick of the week, but really close. So super close. Just a hair shy. Just a tiny hair shy. Next is, well, it's another Source Point Press book that didn't quite hook me, I'm sad to say. The Spirit of Rebellion, and this is Holly Rosing, Tavares, and Petery. And this is Boston Metaphysical Society, and it centers around, well, if this is in a world where if Madame Blavatsky was right and psychics were really, I can't say really powerful, but were powerful enough to manifest stuff and like do telekinesis and stuff like that. That's where you get the Boston Metaphysical Society, and they handle some of the paranormal elements of stuff, and it has it at times because it's a Victorian feel. It feels a bit steampunkish, and it's kind of fun. I do tend to like these. They haven't been my favorite comics, but they're okay. The art is really good. The story in this one, actually, it was pretty good. I maybe I'm being a little hard on this book. It's just I don't think this book was written for me per se. Middle-aged guy doesn't really sing to me, but it was a pretty good book. It wasn't bad. I wasn't bored with it. I think if you really like paranormal, this is probably your pick of the week. So yeah, there you go. Not bad. Next is a book. This is Top Cow. Oh my God, this is Top Cow. A Top Cow book that I had a great time with. What a week. Top Cow has kind of fallen off. Like I used to love like Which Way back in the day, and like, Top Cow is sort of hasn't been the best lately. But this is John Zerplatin and Atilio Rojo. This was almost my pick of the week. As far as storytelling goes for these books, like this is an amazing story. It centers around, get this, Yogi, an Incan living god that is going to be sacrificed as a human sacrifice, and a modern day possible iteration, at least a doppelganger for this character, living in the Wild West, trying to protect Incan treasures. And it really hooked me. They didn't spell it out. I probably spoiled a little bit too much with that synopsis. I'm sorry. But they didn't really spell all of it out. And the way the storytelling was told was really, it felt right. It felt almost like the fantasy style of storytelling, jumping around between characters. But it worked. And the art was outstanding. I mean, just really good art. The way this person draws like the human form, especially the eyes, was just captivating. I loved every second of it. So I was hooked. I might even sub to this. So Saint Mercy, good read, good showing from an indie book. I loved it. Outstanding. Next is Jeff Parker and Javier Pulido, and this is Ninjak, issue number 2 from Valiant. Cam, did you pick up Ninjak issue number 1?
I did.
Did you like it?
I enjoyed it. The art was different.
The art is what's selling me on it because it's so different. I am not the biggest Ninjak fan, and the first book just felt like, hey, did you hear Ninjak's back? Oh my God, Ninjak is back. Like, that's the entirety of the first book. And the second book, the story's, it's okay. It's a spy crossed with a ninja. That's essentially what Ninjak is. But the art is so cool. It's so different. I'm gonna probably just show you a page just so you can get a sense of how different and wild the art is. But like, look at how the artist draws like this sort of stuff. It's cool. It's fun. It has a very, I don't know what you describe it as, like Art Deco style. It's cool. It's the way the art is in this is worth the purchase itself. Now the story it's pretty good. I don't know. I'm not. It hasn't super hooked me as much as the art has, but I would pick it up for the art alone. I think that's definitely a worthy purchase. It's so different that it makes it interesting. Next is La Quinta, La Signola. I'm so bad with names. And Tarugi, and we're talking about runes heritage. And this is I sort of think at the beginning it's referencing, because it says Morrigan, and I think it's referencing Celtic pagan lore, and then it involves the Norse, and we know that's referencing Norse pagan lore. So there is some of that, but it also centers around the politics of clans and a Jarl being murdered and somebody being framed. So it's kind of fun. But haven't we sort of seen like somebody being murdered and framed in like Viking, like detective mystery stories recently? is what it felt like. It sort of felt like a Viking sort of detective mystery. I don't necessarily think that that's it, but it's just there's a real sort of it's just a fun pagan vibe and kind of a good story or a good setting. It's Source Point Press, and Source Point Press. Everything this week has been pretty good. The art is stellar. Like, I'm gonna tell you that I don't. You guys know that I'm a little like gripey about gritty art, but this is the right amount of grit for a story like this. It just feels right. So I really dug the art. The story was pretty good. The problem is I got to speed read a lot of comics, and sometimes like some of it is like I want to go back and reread it. So I'm not sure I grasp the entire story. So if my synopsis on this one's a little weird, I'm sorry. I did my best, but it was interesting. I'm not saying add it to a sub quite yet. I'd say go pick up the first issue, see if it sings to you, and then decide, or pick up the first and second before you really commit. But it's a pretty good opening. Next is a book I loved. Wong, Jung, Olazaba, and Rosenberg. Oh my God, it was outstanding. I'm so happy they finally hit their stride again. Dr. Aphra, and this is still taking place sort of near that auction where everybody's like obsessed with the Crimson Dawn and like trying to get Han and stuff like that. But this felt right. It finally felt like the old school Aphra. She's hacking droids and trying to get to the bottom of things and occasionally being betrayed, and it's fun. It's really, really fun. So this is what I want from a Dr. Aphra comic. The art is still on point. The art is stellar, and I don't feel at all bad using that as a reference for a Star Wars book. But the art is stellar. The story was great. It felt like it should have, and honestly, it didn't drag. And I was very concerned that these books were starting to drag because every Star Wars comic on the shelf was centering around that auction, and I was like, let's just get past it. Let's push the story forward. Well, they're finally starting to, and this was a good showing. And Dr. Aphra is usually pretty good. It did well a few issues back. I'm not going to deny it, but it's gotten better. This is going to be my indie pick of the week, probably surprising no one. Did I pick another indie pick of the week? I didn't, right? No, it's this. Okay, look. Tinian, Simmons, and Bidikar. It's Department of Truth. Why is it my indie pick of the week? Well, we're going to discuss a little bit of spoilers in here, and I'm sorry for that. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, maybe mute it for the next 2 to 3 minutes. But it's my indie pick of the week. One, the art is outstanding. I can't pick up a comic or an issue of Department of Truth and ever hate the art. It's amazing and mind-blowing. The story is so good, and every single time I think they've topped themselves, and Tinian as a storyteller has like, I've been like, he's weaved something really intricate and wild here, and there's no way he's going to top it. And in this issue, he does. He sort of explains how the evil organization known as Black Hat is controlling minds across social media, and it really makes sense. Like they create a conspiracy that is really, really hokey and out there, and only fringe groups will buy into it. But then they sort of generalize the conspiracy and make it grander so that it includes more and more people, but the core of the conspiracy goes back to these fringe group things. And that's how they change the world really quickly and hook a bunch of people. And I think that, one, that's frightening, both in comic form and in real life form, because that's how a lot of these fringe groups that have people on insane conspiracies work these days. And it is working, and it's scary. So Tinian the Fourth once again knocks it out of the park, and that's just a tiny part of this book. Believe me, granted, I'm sorry for spoiling a little portion of it, but the rest of it was mind-blowing too, including the end. Like, I got to the end and was like, oh no, I have to wait a whole month. This is terrible. So this is my indie pick of the week, and you know, but if I make it my pick of the week, again, everyone's going to start giving me grief going, Department of Truth is always your pick of the week. So it's almost my pick of the week. I'm going to say that the Marvel book is my pick of the week. Department of Truth, super close second. Definite indie pick of the week. Next is Eastman, Campbell, Nishijima, and Pattinson, and we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I'm holding the Eastman variant because, God, I love Eastman's art so much. This is the Eastman variant, and this has all been building towards a riot that involves Hobb having kidnapped some of the mutant kids, the weasels and ferrets that we've all kind of grown to love. They have pink bandanas. So Hobbs kidnapped them, but is it Hobb? Like, is it actually? We're gonna find out some stuff in this, and it's gonna sort of pull back the curtain. But there's gonna be a big and violent fight at the end, and in the middle, and the beginning. Honestly, there's plenty of action. As a TMNT fan, you will love it. Anyone else, if you want to jump in, I'd say you might be a little confused, but the way they spell it out is not too terribly bad. You might be okay here. I'd probably say maybe go back one issue before you jump in, but it's not bad. Next is Strange Academy, Scotty Young, Humberto Ramos, and Edgar Delgado. Oh my God, what an issue. What an amazing issue. I loved it. More importantly, I loved it because if you've been reading the last Doctor Strange run, you will know that there was a sort of monstrous creature in the last Doctor Strange run that has finally made another reappearance. And I like that Scotty went back to some of the source material on Doctor Strange. Good showing on that one. And it involves, well, a murder mystery. One of the kids has been murdered, sort of. It's the kid who's made out of crystal. So he can sort of be reassembled. But they tapped, of all people, to get to the bottom of things, Howard the Duck. And I loved it. I don't know. I love whenever they tap Howard the Duck. I think it's great. I honestly wish he'd stay and become a mainstay at the Strange Academy, but he's not exactly a magic user. The way they do wrap up this arc was outstanding. Had a good time with it. It was fun. Oh, look. Oh, Howard's not on the cover. I would have loved if Howard was on the cover. Anyways, it's an outstanding read, but really all of these Strange Academy issues are amazing. I haven't picked up one that I didn't like. Are you subbed to Strange Academy, Cam?
No.
Nate? No. Why? Why are you missing out on this magnificent comic?
I'm still a little upset about Doctor Strange series coming to an end.
Yeah, God, that was such a good series. And wasn't the art like Jesus Saez too? It didn't make sense that they brought it to an end. I think they brought it to an end because they pulled him across for House of X, Powers of X. Maybe. So, anyways, is it great? It's amazing. I love everything coming out of Strange Academy, and if you aren't reading this comic, you are really and truly missing out. Yeah, he's the John Constantine of bad luck in the Hyperborean Age. Yes, Conan is that. That's exactly right. We were talking about John Constantine today. Well, we were talking about that old movie with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
That we don't. Okay, real fast. Side note on the Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves. I love Keanu Reeves. Don't get me wrong, and I think he does good in his roles, but he's not John Constantine in that movie. He's Keanu Reeves in that movie. But what we were talking about is the way that they did the speech patterns for the demons and the angels was perfect. It felt like it, because when they draw them in the comics, they're either like really black letters with like sharp points or red letters with like intricate details, but you can almost hear the hiss in the font. And the way they did it with their speech patterns and that, like every other actor and actress in that movie does an amazing job with their voice work. It was just ridiculously cool. So yeah, it's a weak Marvel movie, but it's got some good actors in it, so I don't know, I liked it. Next book, Ewing, Quinn, and Proto Bunker, and we're talking about The Last Annihilation, Cable Reloaded. This is my pick of the week for a lot of good reasons. One, Al Ewing, yes, okay, Al Ewing is one of my favorite writers, no doubt. He does what he usually does here. He takes a character that everyone knows, and everyone knows his power set, and he changes a little bit. He takes a couple liberties, but it works. Like, as far as telling something with a high-tech character, of course they'd have other tech. Why wouldn't they? And then he puts together a team, which, again, Al Ewing likes to take lesser-known characters, put together a team, and make it a really fun and wild ride, and you're just sort of gripping onto the rails, holding for dear life. That's what you get here. The art is absurdly cool. Not my favorite art, I will say. There were times where I was like, it feels like standard X-Men flavor, but it's not bad. But there were also like 2-page spread pages that were just mind-blowing. There are a bunch of funny one-liners. The dialogue was great. It's sort of setting the stage for something else. And on top of that, it goes back to Rocket's main plan to take on the Annihilation currently, which is just get a big gun and a big bullet And I loved it. And they haven't even strayed from that. That's still his plan. That he went over in Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's such a crazy plan, but whatever. It's fun. I had a good time with it. I love what Ewing is doing. He loves to take like characters we know and then change a bit of their mythos and make it fun. It's just great. So pick of the week, Cable Reloaded. Second pick, King Spawn and Department of Truth. And then DC pick, Robin. Let's keep going though. I got more books. Kyle Higgins, Juan Ramirez, and Eric Arciniega. Now I like this book. The art is pretty good. The story was all right. I had a good time with the story. I didn't hate it. But I also didn't love it for the weirdest of reasons. This story, the way the character gets their powers, it's a new version of Darkhawk, but the way they get their powers is almost exactly like Radiant Black. It felt like I was reading the same book at times, and it's still different, but it's just that one thing. Which the way Radiant Black got his powers was kind of a trope in and of itself. So it didn't feel like anything different. But is it a bad book? No. The story was great. The art was great. I had a pretty good time with it. I don't know a lot of Darkhawk fans out there. I know Cam is one of them. Cam, why are you a Darkhawk fan?
Saw him on the Avengers animated show and kind of fell in love with him.
Avengers animated show. I mean, to me he feels like a super '90s villain. Like he's very sharp. Not villain, hero. Super '90s hero. He's just really sharp.
The funny thing is, he was a film on that show.
Oh, then I nailed it. Anyways,
Yeah, he was randomly a part of the Squadron Supreme.
What?
Yep.
But the Hawk on the Squadron Supreme is Nighthawk.
Darkhawk was on it too.
That's weird. Okay. Anyways, is it good? Yes, it's good. It's a #1, and if you need a new hero in your life, or you like Cam, you like this character from the old Avengers cartoon, you'll probably have a good time with it. I have nothing to complain about here. It was pretty good for #1. Next is Kate's, Bandini, D'Amico, and Wilson, and we're talking about Thor. And man, oh man, like this Thor run has been nothing but fun. The art is outstanding. The story is great. I'm gonna tell you something that you might not have realized. Thor has been coming to Midgard for a long time, but one thing that we've never really truly seen all that often. Did you know Thor Odinson can change his voice pattern to be more Earth-like? Have you seen this before, Cam?
No.
I can't think. I mean, Darnell Blake, yeah, but have you ever seen Thor like just change his voice pattern to like be like normal?
No.
Never, right?
Done in that runic style.
Yeah, and we do get to see that. So that alone is worth the price of admission here. Something quite different. On top of that, well, we're getting some stuff between the Valkyrie and Thor, which I always do love their exchanges, and we do get to see. I can't really call it father and son bonding, but Odin and Thor don't have the healthiest of relationship at any given time. But you get to see some of that, and it was fun. I had a pretty good time with it. So yeah, Kate's is still knocking it out of the park, and if you're a Thor fan, you will still love this. That reminds me, we need to call that guy Jerome and let him know that his trade didn't show up, so he doesn't make the trip down tomorrow. Ooh, thank God I remembered Thor. Okay. Next is Wong, Galen, and Campbell, and we're talking about Riot. And I really love this cover. Like, man, that cover is dope. And we've seen a lot. We can finally talk about it. So there is a second anti-venom. Alchemax sort of combines Scream's DNA with anti-venom, and now we have an anti-venom that is not like it's the anti-venom is sentient. The original anti-venom, if you don't know, Flash Thompson's anti-venom does not talk to him. It does not have a voice, but it's still running around. Like Flash is still back to life. But now we have Annie with her own anti-venom that is sentient, and we haven't seen that ever. So they're taking it way crazy directions. And we've got Riot, and Riot is also dealing with Carnage and the Hive, and we're gonna see something mysterious happen with the Hive. So this issue of Riot it's actually outstanding. I liked it. Maybe there wasn't quite enough well, there was plenty of action. No, there was enough action. I'm just being nitpicky at this point. If you're a Symbiote fan, I think you'll love it. I do want Cam's take on it, so I'm gonna pick your brain on this tomorrow. We need to pick this apart and discuss. Okay, but I had a pretty good time with it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Is there a grand mystery revealed in this? Not quite yet, but I want to know where it's going. Next is Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, and we're talking about Darth Vader, the assassin's choice. So this, did I say the Aphra book was the best Star Wars book on our shelf this week? I don't think I said that. It was a great book. It was a great pickup for what's been going on. But I'm going to tell you flat out, this is the best Star Wars book on our shelf right now. And wow, for good reason. So we know Ochi of Bastoon is a Sith assassin who has been introduced and has been taken on as sort of an underling to Vader. Now, Ochi has a way of handling things, and what do you think that way is, Yogi?
Violence?
Maybe, but he's also he's into stealth. He's an assassin. He's into stealth. So he has this plan, and he's telling Vader, like, well, I'm going to go around back and sneak in and get this handled. And Vader's like, no, you work for me now. You go through the front door. Why do you think Vader's doing that to him?
Because he wants him to spring the trap.
He just wants to torture him. It's just what it feels like. It's just like, yeah, I'm just going to put you through your. So there is a lot of action, and a lot of it is because Vader is a jerk to this guy, and it works really well. I was hooked. I laughed multiple times. This is Greg Pak, though, go figure. So Greg Pak and Jason Keith. It was out. Wait, that was the colorist, but Keith is good. The artist is Raphael Inco. Sorry, I don't want to murder your name. I feel bad when I get names wrong. But anyways, the art was amazing. The story was amazing. I had the best time. It's as far as Star Wars books are on our shelves right now, you really can't go wrong with either of those picks. Dr. Aphra was great. This one was just hysterical and fun. Both good showings. Next, wow, I'm gonna say it. Are you ready for it, guys? Lore, Guido, Wyckoff, and Bo, a Transformers comic that I loved. Transformers Shattered Glass. Now, this centers around a lesser-known Transformer named Blur. Do you remember the character named Blur with multiple R's, Yogi, in the Transformer universe?
No.
This was a character introduced late into the series that, if I remember correctly, was a turncoat and could go between Decepticons and Autobots. And we're getting a lot of that. So to me, this character feels like the Quinlan boss of the Transformers universe. He goes back and forth, and you never quite know which side he's on. On top of that, he's trying to make some really good plays, and he might actually get outplayed here, and it was fun. The dialogue was great. It felt like I was sort of watching an old Transformers cartoon. The art was on point. Honestly, I'm hooked. I might even sub to it. And I don't sub to Transformer comics all that often. Not since that OG, what was that run that was just brilliant that ended in a giant world-bending fight?
Transformers 89?
No, it wasn't 89. It was before even that. It was the Robots in Disguise and the two lines. I can't remember what they were called. Anyways, this was as good as that. It was outstanding. I loved every second of it. It hooked me. It accessed my inner child while also being very modern. It was fun. It was amazing. It's weird to say, some of the Transformers books haven't hooked me lately. That one got me good. Next is Jeremy Holt, George Shaw, and Adam Willett. And we can talk about Made in Korea now. So Made in Korea, at first it seemed like they were just doing the whole, hey, this child is a robot, and this child is a really, really smart robot, and this child's going to school. And then all of a sudden she sort of fell in with the wrong crowd. Such a wrong crowd that they were going to shoot up a school and murder everyone inside. I'm not kidding. That's the dark turn this story went. And the art was really fun, and it just was very shocking and sudden. And we're going to finally get that event. It's going to occur in this. And how it plays out is, well, it felt right. It felt better. I'm still intrigued by the story. I can't believe they went there. It sort of shocked me. I can't believe you've done this. But it was a very sudden and shocking turn of events. But the way this turns out is, I'm happy to say it felt right. I still felt better about it. I'm really hooked on this book somehow still, even though it took a really dark turn. The art is great. The story was I can't say this issue was fun. It was good. It just wasn't. It's still a bit scary and fresh. But I need other people to read this so we can discuss it because it's still super interesting to me. Oh my God, the next book. Oh man, we need to go over this. Morrissey, Gooden, Duke Campbell. And apparently on this cover, Matthew Rosenberg says this book is stunningly good. And I can't agree more. Barbaric is a master class in comics, both in art. The art is amazing. And story. My God, is this story fun. And it feels like a modern Conan. Like it's Conan, but he's not using his usual sort of, I don't, you can't call it an iambic pentameter. He's got like a barbaric pentameter, but you can't really call it that because this character is very modern. Will curse. Well, Conan will curse too, but will curse very modern. It just feels like fresh. On top of that, he's got a talking cursed axe, and the axe loves to drink blood, and that's fun. And he befriends a witch, even though the character can't stand magic users, and it goes from there. And it feels like a D&D campaign that has got beautifully out of hand while the DM is drunk at the wheel and maybe even falling out of the chair. And for whatever reason, it's so funny and absurd and great. And I love it. Barbaric, not my indie pick of the week, but again, one of those ridiculous close seconds. This and Department of Truth are just neck and neck. I loved it. You need to be reading Barbaric. Everybody across the board needs to be reading Barbaric. Cam, have you been reading Barbaric?
No.
Give me your comic card. Man, it's great. It's outstanding. Next is a book. Well, I had a good time with it, but I'm a little confused. This is Edgar Rice Burroughs' universe, and this is Beyond the Farthest Star, Warriors of Xandar. I'm going to show the cover in 1 second as soon as I find it. The writer is Mike Wolfer, and the artist is Alessandro Rinaldi. Now, it was a good showing. The art was great. The story it was weird. The story's weird. All right, let me describe the story for you. Okay, let me see if you can figure it out. There are two types of creatures in this universe. One is very elf-like, and the other is very sort of big and large, kind of, and domineering. And the ones are sort of enslaving the elf-like creatures and drinking their life force. And there's another character that's sort of in it that is trying to sort of navigate this. This is the Dark Crystal. It's the Dark Crystal. And they look kind of like blobby Skeksis, and the Gelflings look like these elf characters. And it was really confusing. But at the same time, this comes from Edgar Rice Burroughs' universe. So I had to wonder, did Jim Henson get inspired by him maybe? Maybe that's it. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe these guys are taking liberties and they're sort of writing it. So I was hooked. I liked it. I had a good time with it. The dialogue, it was a bit weird at times. I'm not gonna lie. It's as far as sci-fi goes, it was kind of wild at times, but it was fun. The art was good. The story it's weird. I'm gonna say don't commit to it quite yet. Don't throw a sub on it just yet. Pick up the issue, see if you like it. Give it another issue before you fully commit. But I'm interested. It was good. Next is another book that was almost my pick of the week for indies. My God, what is this? Almost indie pick of the week. And again, it's James Tynion IV. God, James Tynion, you knock stuff so far out of the park. Werther Deledra, Miguel Muerto. Oh man, what a good team. Something is killing the children. We're figuring out how the secret society works and how the House of Slaughter came to be and how the main character came to join the House of Slaughter. And she actually seen her family just evilly murdered, and then the creature was placed inside of a stuffed animal that she loves, and now she's sort of been put into a trap that if she survives the trap, she gets to join the secret society. I'm super hooked. It's great writing. It's so intriguing. The mystery is there, and I always want to know more. And this issue in particular, the art is outstanding, really good. The story is really fun. None of that has changed. I fully get why there are giant fan groups dedicated to this book. It's absurdly cool. It's fun. Are you guys good? Do you need these books yet?
Okay.
Next is Percy, Kubert, and Martin, and we're talking about Wolverine. It's hard for me to not say Wolverine like Wolverines. We're like Red Dawn. This centers on, well, Wolverine is going to be on a collision course with the Araco pirate. He's currently a pirate, but he came from the Araco world, so it's a warlike world. And his power is like acid, like his skin and blood are like acid. And the thing about it is, Wolverine is tangling with this guy, and he's pretty good at fights. But when you're going up against a person that has pretty much lived their entire life in war, they might get the best of you from time to time. And it was really, really fun to read. I had a good time with it. I think you will too. The art is on point. It's great. As far as the Wolverine story is concerned, I was hooked. I love seeing these kind of twists and turns. And oddly enough, I think I like this weird looking Araco pirate mutant a lot. Like his dialogue choice and the things he says are really entertaining and straight to the point. So I'm intrigued. I'm really hooked on this. It's great. So Percy, yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man. Next is a book that I absolutely loved, like from start to finish. This is Marvel's Voices Identity #1, and this one centers around all the Asian heroes, and it's just a ridiculously fun read. We get Amadeus Cho, we get Wave. Wave makes an appearance, and Wave, I think Wave is with Amadeus Cho. No, with Bishop. That's weird. But Wave's running around with Bishop. We get a Silver Samurai story. We get my brain is dying right here. We get a Shang-Chi story. We get Kamala Khan story. There's just so much good here. I had a great time with it. Each one of these stories hooked me. There wasn't a single story that lagged. I wasn't bored. Although the Silver Samurai story, while it was cute, it centered around like sushi, it's like sushi styles in Krakoa. So it was fun. It was cute. The other stories were like action, and then it was like I got like a break and a really peaceful Silver Samurai story, which I didn't expect. So all of these stories were fun. Like my device is gonna restart. No, don't do that. But this whole book, all like you're getting like 5 or 6 stories. It's not quite trade paperback thick, but it's pretty thick for a comic. The art is outstanding, and we even have like a Peach Momoko cover that is really cool. It's only $5.99, so you're getting a heck of a deal on this book. And I would say don't skip it. Again, almost my Marvel pick of the week. Another book I love this week, Cantwell, Little Badger, Eagle Sham, Cutler, Poggy, and Mia. And this is the United States Captain America. Every single one of these that comes out, they all center around like Cap is dealing with sort of a speedster version of him that has stolen his shield. And they're trying to track him down while also finding this underground network of Captain Americas that all sort of don the moniker and are part of the suit, like different variants of the suit. And they go out to like solve their neighborhood's problems. So they're basically keeping the theme of Captain America and the spirit alive. And it's great. Like they're discovering new heroes. This one centers around a Captain America that represents the Kickapoo tribe. And I had a really good time with it. I like this one better than the other two. And each one of them, I read it and I was like, okay, I like this one a lot. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. And then I read the next one and I was like, I like that one better than the last one. And this one I liked a lot better than the one before it. The art, the one point that I had to criticize was I didn't like the art of the first issue. I don't know why that first issue felt a bit off to me. This one I loved, like the second issue. I loved the second issue art. I really love this art. And I like the look of that other Captain America there. Like he was great. And his character is very stubborn and cat-like. It was awesome how things played out. So again, not my Marvel pick of the week, but a really close third or fourth this week. God, what a good week for comics. The last book is a book I love, but I see it with rose-colored lenses. But this is amazing, and I can finally talk about a lot of this stuff. Usagi Yojimbo Dragon Bellow Conspiracy. Why is this amazing? Well, Usagi has an ally in a little lord. He's a young lord, and he's got a confidant called Tomoai, a loyal samurai, and she's been captured. So Usagi's got to go undercover in another lord's service to rescue Tomoai. And meanwhile, we've got Gen, who is the rhino bounty hunter, who is hunting the blind swords pig who has like a wooden nose named Zato Ino. And those two have had such beef for a long, long time. So we're seeing that play out. Meanwhile, the Neko Ninja, the cat ninja are at play. There's going to be a huge betrayal involving the one lord that has actually betrayed Yasagi's lord back in the day. There is so many moving parts. But as a Stan Sakai fan, I love it. Anyone else, I'd say like this is where you jump in with Usagi. If you want to be hooked for life like I was, this is all the legends coming together, and they're really fun. I'm having the best time with it. So again, not my indie pick of the week because it would almost feel like favoritism if I made it Usagi this week. But I love this. It was great. If you're a Usagi fan, you will love it. If you're anyone else, this is the book to jump in on. Trust me, it's great. That is our show for this week. I hope I didn't squint too much. I felt like I was squinting too much, but things are really bright in here for whatever reason. That's our show for this week. We have no more books. All our books are in. We have a metric ton of King Spawn. So if you need a number 1 on that, believe me, we've got the variants for it. If you need a 1 in 50, we've got a few. It's an amazing book that I can't recommend enough. Not my pick of the week, but my picks of the week are DC Comics Robin, Department of Truth for Indies, and for Marvel is, what did I pick for Marvel? Cable. Cable. Sorry, my brain. And that's our show for this week. Do you guys have anything else to add? Oh, Al. I got to plug Al. Yeah, Alpha Recon. So if you are still watching, please, I should have plugged this at the beginning. If you want to get some stuff signed from what con?
San Jose Con.
San Jose Con? San Jose Con this weekend. Al's going to go and get things signed for our customers. So please come hit us up and say you want this signed by this artist or this signed by this writer. Al has really reasonable rates, and he's willing to go through all the lines and get you your work like signed. And he's gonna save you the headaches of the convention. And like I don't know about you guys, but I like crowds. So when I go to conventions, like it's a nightmare. And then the lines are nightmares. I got bad knees and bad back from the army. And usually when you get to meet the artists and writers, it's cool meeting them. But a lot of times it's like, oh, man, you don't want to meet your heroes because sometimes you get a little disappointed. So Al's going to take all of that on for you. And for a really reasonable price, he's going to get you the merchandise you want without all that trouble. And I think it's a great deal.
Yeah. On top of that, we also have the Tone Rodriguez, who's done Stray Dogs. We have the last copies of Stray Dogs in store, so if you guys want to get them signed and pressed and cleaned, we've got a rate for you at 100.
Yeah.
So come hit us up.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's our show for this week. We love you guys. We'll see you next week. Be safe out there.